What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Storyteller Jet with another episode of the That's So Fire Talk Show. And today we are going to be talking about how real estate investors can automate deals. It's gonna be fire. And I have my men here. Will you? Let's go.
What's up, brother? Thank you for having me on the show, Jet.
Absolutely, man. I've been looking forward to having you here. Man, when did I meet you? Maybe like 2 or 3 months ago.
Not too long ago, I think probably less than 30, 45 years.
Yeah. And then we become great friends. Like, had coffee last week, chatted about some really great
Brother,
things.
we broke bread together.
Yes,
Right?
100%.
You shared a sandwich with me.
Yep, for sure. So, welcome to the show, man. We're gonna do a quick introduction, who you are, and then we're gonna talk about your entrepreneurial journey, your come up story, and then we are going to chat on how you help people, you help real estate investors, generate a lot of sales and close more deals and all of that. So first, who's Will Yu?
William Yu. Well, I am a immigrant. I am a single child. I have a single mother. I came to the States when I was 7 years old. Mother came a couple years before me, and I had a very interesting upbringing, right? I was raised in New York City, ran around Manhattan, jumped from building to building, probably got into way too many bad things at an early age, but I'm glad that, I had a very strong mother that pushed me to the right direction, which kind of led me to where I am right now. Yeah, that's kind of my origin story, but yeah, she brought me to the States when I was 7, went to school in the Greenwich Village, elementary school, Chelsea for middle, and then high school I went to, high school in the Flatiron District. And then I went to school upstate New York. Afterwards, started my own did sales for a little bit at a tech company. Started my first manufacturing business, moved it down to Florida. Did a bunch of stuff, lost a bunch of money. I know, which part should we get into first?
Yeah, I love the lost a bunch of money part of this. We're gonna be chatting about that because I truly believe, the journey, all the scars that you gained along the way are truly shaping you to where you're gonna go in the future. So I've never asked you that question. So you moved to the U.S. at 7 years old. Where was that from?
So I was born in China, so a place specifically called Tianjin. It's right next to Beijing. Maybe some people know about it. They had a giant explosion of one of their harbors, main ports exploded. That was the only news that you'll find about Tianjin, China.
Yeah.
But grew up over there. Came here when I was 6 years old.
Yeah. Do you speak Chinese at all?
Fluent Mandarin.
Yeah.
Not the best.
Yeah.
Elementary school level.
So 我会说一教中国话. What
That's
did I just say?
I know a little bit of Chinese.
Boom! So I guess that was good. 我是 Jethro. 我是美国人.
Dude, where do you learn this?
I took 3 semesters of Mandarin in college. So you know how you can get extracurricular?
Yep.
So people would do history of jazz, which I did too. But for 3 of my classes, I decided to take Mandarin.
It's a hard language.
Yeah.
Even to this day, my wife and I, every single time we go back to China, she's like, dude, you're so American.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretend I don't speak Chinese. And I can just listen to them when they're talking. Snack about you. And I don't know, Chinese people, they're very funny in a sense where they'll just joke about you behind your back, especially if they think you don't know the language.
Mm-hmm.
But then for me, I'll just listen to the background and I'll speak English with my wife and I.
Yeah.
And just a funny thing, and then you say something bad, just because when I speak Chinese, they can't hear the accent, but conversationally, obviously, there's a lack of vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
So once in a while, I just throw in a little Mandarin, oh, okay,
Yeah.
and then it'll be a good story, and they treat us very well.
Yeah, that is awesome. So the very first sentence I learned in Mandarin was...
Is it a curse word?
No, it was not. 我觉得你很漂亮.
Oh, so you are a player.
I am a total player.
So
No.
if people don't understand, it's basically saying that, hey, you're very pretty. So you can't already tell, Jet, you're a ladies' man.
At that time, I did not have a girlfriend, and I was not married. So I wanted to learn how to tell the Chinese girls that they're pretty. So,
Hey man, nothing wrong with that, right?
yeah. Now, okay, I'm married, man. So if you Chinese and you listening to this talk show, don't be getting any ideas. And that's awesome. I didn't know that you spoke Chinese fluently.
Yeah, it came like a lot of people don't realize. So I had a stepfather who was Greek, more for like green card purposes. I think is at the point like I can say it without trying to get in trouble for it. But my mother, she purposely put me in very predominantly mixed neighborhoods. So Pierce Village, if people don't know, it's on like the Lower West Side of New York City, where I grew up with Hispanics, whites, blacks. And I was the only Asian person. There was probably like 3 Asian people in my whole like middle school, elementary school. And she purposely did that for me because she wanted me to assimilate very fast. And that has done me so well because I've grown up in a very mixed background, and then I started really appreciating my heritage towards, I would say, high school, towards college. But if it wasn't for her putting me into a very racially diverse, school, I probably wouldn't have learned as fast. Like a lot of Asian Americans growing up in New York City because it's so populated with them, they typically go and gravitate towards their own like ethnicity.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen that. Even I know we're going to talk about marketing later. One of the big things for me is to leverage that kind of like the psychology behind like race, culture, beliefs within each ethnic background, and you can really leverage that for your benefits when it comes to like marketing side of things.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit earlier about you losing a lot of money. So what are some of the companies that you started? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So back in college, this back to my mother, right? She always worked extremely hard. She did nails, facials. To this day, she still chooses to work when we're blessed enough to the point that she really doesn't have to. But to her, it's like, hey, that's your money that you made. I'm still giving you my thing. I don't want to age. And she's even gotten her Pilates instructor license. That's the type of woman she's jacked. Dude, insane, dude. Like she will go on like she brought me to like hot yoga class. I believe last time I was in New York, I could not keep up with her.
Wow,
right?
That's crazy.
But because of who she was, I always knew my goal is to retire her as early as possible. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met, especially like males with single mothers, like I met a lot just because of our need to become the provider in the family as fast as possible, right? So I knew that working a 9 to 5 was not going to happen, and I naturally gravitated towards real estate because logically it made the most sense for me. Only an asset that appreciated year over year, you can reduce your tax liabilities using it, and then I wanted to build wealth, and the richest people in the United States were all real estate investors, right? But when I first graduated college, I read the Bigger Pockets books, YouTube University. I wanted to invest, so I'm like, okay, what's logically speaking, the easiest way to go about it? Well, you become an agent, right? Unfortunately, in New York City, it's very hard to become a real estate agent.
Why is that?
It's a very, very, if people don't realize, there's a lot of wealth in New York. It's not like Tampa, where we're at, or Dallas, or Austin, where there's a room for the entrepreneurial spirit to grow. It's old money. If you're not playing with old money, if you don't know people that have old money, you're not getting into the right rooms.
Yeah.
If you're not getting into the right rooms, you're not getting the opportunities, right? So don't get me wrong. Can I do it now, knowing what I know? Probably, because I'll probably shake the right hands, understand how to position myself to be in the right rooms. But as a young 20, 21, 22-year-old that didn't have the family background, trying to understand business while building a career and just trying to keep up the momentum with all the distractions of New York and what it has to provide. It's a city of sins, by the way, if you guys don't understand. It was very hard, right? I became a realtor for a little bit, tried to do a couple of listings, tried to get listing deals. I didn't really know marketing lead generation during that time. It didn't really work out for me, so I went to a tech sales position in the city. But during that time, I was a very high producer. I think my first year I was pulling in $80,000 plus in just commissions alone for a tech firm that sold, funny enough, Google reviews for contractors and real estate investors.
Interesting.
It was very,
Yeah, that's very interesting.
yeah, I'm not going to mention the company. I don't know if it still exists or not, but I've learned to do a lot of like what I call guerrilla warfare style sales on there. It was, if you put they flick on, when you get in at 8:30 in the morning, you flick on a dialer, you get your cup of coffee, and then you're just on the phone all day for the next 8 to 12 hours. Right? That's how you make money. At one point, I saw the owner walk into the room with his wife with Hermes bags at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I think they just had a brunch. And I'm here dialing away with a room full of soldiers that he's cooking. And in my head, I'm like, dude, like this, I need to figure it out. This is not how I'm gonna retire my mother. I'm not gonna get anywhere where I wanna be if this is, if I stay in this position. That same week, a buddy of mine, he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, Will, you're very good at the art." So I was very into art growing up. I painted a lot. I drew a lot. He was like, "Let's start a embroidery and screen printing business. I'll fund everything. I just need you to be my right hand man. I'll give you 50." Dude, I quit next week. The day after, I think I quit like within that week. And then I used the last bit of savings I had. I took my girl and I to Japan, now wife. And then, yeah, the rest was history. But that business, it was right before COVID. A buddy of ours had a similar business. So because New York shut down, we moved that business and merged it with him down in Florida. Like, that was my first kind of experience with a merger and acquisition. I didn't look at the books. It was a handshake agreement. I didn't look at the P&Ls. It was a hypothetical, hey brother, I saw that you're doing really well. We have a similar business. Why don't we just do it together? Completely lost that business. Wow. Yeah.
So what happened exactly? Is it like because you weren't making money, or did he still, like, I guess like, because you overtook your business, or like what exactly happened to make you lose those money?
Dude, I was like 23 at the time, and it was a handshake. I didn't understand how to look at my P&Ls. I was running a very mom and pop style business. We were hustling very hard with the front of the business, right? We drove revenue, we had inventory, we were selling ourselves, and we were making profit, but we didn't have we had books, but it wasn't to the point of like actually understanding, okay, this is profit and loss, this is our marketing budget, this is what we're gonna reinvest, this is what's gonna be for labor, for inventory, X, Y, Z. We didn't understand any of this stuff, dude. Like I went to school for economics, but like I promise you I didn't pay attention too much of this. Yeah.
I know somebody else like that went to school for economics, but not using any of that as well. Yeah. So, what was the biggest lesson that you've learned from losing that business?
Dude, the biggest lesson I learned from losing that business is that, number one, you can do business with your friend, but understand what you do before you do. If you're gonna, because right now I have so much more opportunities on a daily basis that's provided to me because now I have the ability to be able to allocate funds towards different investments. Because of that lesson, I realized if I don't understand it, if I can't protect myself from it or have a really good idea of who this person is, I'm not gonna do it. It's not in my wheelhouse, right? A merger and acquisition during that time, I didn't know what that was. Merging a company with somebody, like I've never done it before. I should have just not done it. I should just kept in my lane, kept on pushing. During that time, I probably just thought, hey, it would probably be easier to work with this individual that seemed like he had a bigger operation than I did. It logically made sense, but I knew nothing about it. I didn't do my due diligence, I didn't do my research. Right?
Did he lose that business too, or did you get, I guess, kicked out of the business or something like that?
So it was, in a sense, it was just not profitable, right? He was very good at doing the work. He was not a good operator. Like, he was a great back-end operator, but he was not good on the financing side. So I injected a bunch of capital and basically just grew the capital because instead of having somebody he was naturally just progressing. right? But we injected a large sum of capital into his business. He had a bunch of play money, and then we just started blowing everything. And now you're chasing to make that money back. And when you chase, you typically end up losing things faster. And then that shop is no longer around.
How did you get into real estate?
So while I was building my first manufacturing business in New York, and the one that was doing fairly well, everything was on our book. So I got very lucky with the business at that time. Plus, there was a giant stock during that time, and I was constantly just putting money away. I think within a year period, I think my portfolio grew from $400,000 to almost $1 million. Yeah, and that was a really, I don't tell a lot of people about that, but that was another blessing in disguise. I lost probably $500,000 from the age I was 22, 23 to 26. I made over 750, probably almost $800,000, touching almost $1 million. There's a specific watch that I really want to buy. Once I hit $1 million cash, and I haven't yet to get back to the point where I have that much saved up because my business just recently started ramping again. But during that time, I bought real estate. Majority of the money I ended up having my gambling fund because at the end of the day, at this point, I thought I was the new Warren Buffett, by the way. I thought I was the new Chinese goat. Yeah, stock investing. But during that time, I did invest into a triplex down in Florida, and that's how it got me invested in the Tampa Bay market.
Yeah. So that's what brought you to Florida,
correct?
Because of the triplex that you had.
Yeah, that's my first investment. It was actually hindsight 2020, right? If it wasn't for the merger with that buddy of mine and losing that business, I would have never met the real estate agent that found me that triplex.
Interesting.
So that's the one thing, Jed. A lot of people, I've invested in a lot of money with courses. I know me and you always talk about education, how to better ourselves, right? I have spent money, and I'm pretty sure you have too, where you might not have gotten the perceived value of the course can provide for you, what the value we're trying to buy into. But we make the best out of it. There's always a silver lining. A lot of people I realize that doesn't succeed in what they do in life is because they always focus on the negative. It's like the glass half full versus the glass half empty, right? I live my life very glass half full, right? I always believe there is a silver lining in any situation that you're in.
Yeah. And that is one of the main reasons why that's the very first question I ask people too, because learning about their journey, about kind of what shaped them to where they are at, and also the lessons that they've learned along the way, I feel like it's truly powerful. I think it was maybe a Chinese proverb, maybe not, but I think it was a farmer. It's a farmer analogy. When the farmer lost something, the neighbors came and say, "Hey, it sucks that you kind of lost that thing," and then you responded to them, "We'll see," and then something positive happened from the thing that happened,
right.
And they say, "Oh, you got so lucky that you kind of got that," and then he says, "We'll see." So kind of repeating that over and over, and I feel like I've seen that in Bluey too. The kids, they kind of did the spin-off of that as well. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of the things that happen sometimes happens for a reason, to kind of really maybe teach you lessons that you would need for the next big venture that you're doing.
Yeah.
And also from being in that show, a lot of the successful people that have been in there, the reason that they were successful is because it's because of the time that their back was against the wall.
Correct.
So that they kind of figured things out, they learned a lot of lessons. When things were going great, they were not really investing in themselves, but when their back was against the wall, they decided to level up and kind of building systems and processes and doing things right, which really actually helped them build a foundation for them to grow to the success that they are.
Yeah. So
I truly believe all the experiences and the things that we faced along the journey are truly the reasons why we're successful. And that's why I love asking that first question, because I like to learn a little bit about people's journey, about some of the things that that they faced along the way.
I think attitude in anything is like anything you do, you have to have a positive act, right? Because this life isn't easy. There's trials and tribulations. And I'm pretty sure you've seen that meme of the guy hammering in a tunnel. The goal's right in front of them. One keeps going, the other one stops right before he was about to hit the jackpot. I live my life every single day like that, right? I think it's something that my mother taught me. The biggest lesson I think I ever got from her was the fact that she has never made me feel like I was poor. She's never one time ever said no to something that I needed in order for my development of, of where I was at the time. Whether it's summer camp, whether it's the Game Boy, right? She always made sure that anything that was good for me, that put me in a position where I can grow and learn, she always did it for me. We were poor, we were stupid poor, but she never made me feel it. It's her attitude going into everything, how she's doing it. Yeah. And even to this day, it's like there's always a silver lining, no matter what kind of terrible position you're in. If you can be that person in the room that has a great attitude that people gravitate towards, I don't think there's a reason for you to ever fail. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Why did growing up poor taught you to what did growing up poor taught you that you are using today to help you be successful?
That's a good question. So I think growing up, I wouldn't say poor, because like I said, she never made me, I didn't realize we were poor, right? I felt very, very normal. I think she made me appreciate, she had a very fine balance between what she could provide and what she said no to. So I think I had a very healthy upbringing as a kid. She made sure she made me understand, like, here are the things that you need that I'm going to invest in, and here are the things that I'm going to say no to. And there's a clear difference between an investment or something that is not good for you. Whether it's a relationship, whether it is maybe like an art lesson or a tennis lesson, right? She always said yes to the lessons for some reason. And she always said no to me maybe going out a little bit too late or just giving allowances for no reason, right? And I had a very specific distinction between the two. And that's definitely helped me out in my career where, hey, where do we allocate funds towards what we're looking to do? Her making me feel that we weren't poor made me realize that I'm able to live my life in a way that I can deploy capital to get a return on investment. I think that's a lot of issues with people that grow up with the mentality of being poor. They're scared to deploy capital. They treat money like it's gold. I think that's the thing. I don't feel like I grew up poor, right? She made me understand that money was meant to be used as a tool to obtain a certain type of, it's an exchange of value, right? Hopefully that.
No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably when you are really in those mindsets and kind of stuff like that, that really prevents you. That's probably one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people stay stuck. They stay poor because they have that mentality that money grows on trees.
Yeah.
You know, like parents that limiting belief. Like when your parents are telling you, hey, we cannot buy this because you know what, money doesn't, grow on trees. So by kind of getting all of those kind of mindsets, like, that prevents them to actually do things that could potentially help them become wealthy. Like do the investment like you're doing, but like if they have that poor mentality, they're not going to do the investment because they're going to try to hold everything to themselves and not do what necessary to help them grow.
Yeah, I think it's idolizing money. I think that's an issue with a lot of people in our, especially with social media and everything that's going on. And don't get me wrong, I'm the first thing to go to like the Chanel store and get my lady a bag. Like, I don't care. I like luxury things. I don't care what anybody says. But I think a lot of people, because of social media, idolize these items or lifestyle, and because to mention our good friend, the person that connected us together, Brad, right? He talks about this thing called the chocolate trauma. And I truly believe in it. I feel like we all have some of the trauma in some type of way, but it's how we leverage the trauma in our benefit or in our demise, right? And a lot of people, unfortunately, because they have a place of lack. They lack maybe a authority in a space where they lack love and respect for their community. They feel like they have to to fill their lack with a need for goods, and that makes you idolize money because you care for money so much.
Yeah.
But I think if you can just understand that money is just a tool to obtain these things and be okay with it, I think if you can come from a different place, I think that's where the leverage for money comes from.
Yeah. I recently heard somebody say something very powerful, again, because of my faith as well. It was around that a lot of people misinterpret the Bible verse that says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. They always associate, okay, money is the root of all evil, but really it says for the love. That's the key word over there, for the love, the idolatry that you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, for the love of money is the root of all evil, because when you idolize money, that's kind of when all those kind of things truly happens. Like the people that I either like kill for like when they were like buying drugs and doing all the other stuff. The reason why they're doing that is because they want to be wealthy. Or they want to get to a different status. But because they love money so much, now they are doing like crazy stuff to do that. So there's nothing wrong with money. Like the 12 disciples, like that's the mindset shift I guess I gained from that conversation. Mm-hmm. All the 12 disciples were people that, like some of them were like business owners, like some of them were very wealthy.
Yeah.
So they didn't come to Jesus and kind of follow him because they were poor. They had money, but they, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So when you were saying that, that kind of brought me back to that conversation that I had with him.
Yeah. So I'm not a set religious person. Like I'm not Christian, I'm not Catholic, I'm not Buddhist, right? But I have been interacting a lot with very faithful individuals such as yourself and another good friend of mine. He's not an entrepreneur, but he's at this point a very good friend of mine. And one of the best quotes I've heard a lot of faithful people say is like we're humans of sin, right? We're born in a position that we cry, we steal, we take as babies, right? And we are taught to love, to give, to share, right? So if we're humans of sins and we have the ability to become cognizant enough to become a loving human being, I think that's the beauty of humanity, right? And yes, I am going to have a lack in my life no matter what. Whether it's an insecurity growing up in New York City as an Asian American male and racism and the word, am I allowed to say it?
Sure.
The word chink was thrown at you as you were walking on the subway station, right? That created a lack in my life. And maybe my need or my want for luxurious good came from that, right? But at the same time, being able to understand it, being able to talk about it and be okay with it and understand, hey, yes, that is a flaw in my nature, but what can I do to better it, right? I think that's a conversation that people need to have with themselves a little bit more. It's okay to have a lack in your life, but openly talk about it, right? Because if you can't talk about it, you can't confront it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, that's a great conversation here. How did you get involved in? Obviously, you started REI Transfer. Like, how? I guess when did you start that? Give me a little bit about background of what REI Transfer does.
Yes, sir. So after the manufacturing business, I was not sure what to do. So I just bought another property. I'm actually selling that property. It's under contract at the end of the month. It was just it wasn't the best investment. I did it at a very dark time. I felt like I just needed to purchase another house because I want to give myself like I'm a real estate investor, right? It was a terrible deal. I lost so much money. And at this point, it was like kind of like a symbol of just release for me. So I'm selling that home. I know if I hold on to it, which I could, I'll be fine. I'll make a lot more money later on. But I just need to let it go. But during that time, I bought a new home and I moved into it, and I'm just really trying to figure out what my next play is going to be. I met the gentleman in Tampa. During that time, I didn't have many friends over here. And we can go into like relationship a little bit too later on because I had a very rocky relationship with me and my current wife. I moved from New York to Tampa, yes, due to business, but it was also due to the fact that I needed to escape. I didn't realize, I was very young at the time. I was with a woman that is amazing for me, my career, everything I want in life. She is comfortable with your family, mom and dad love each other, very, very happy there, right? I didn't come from that. I came from a very strong mother that was very home, and I was out in the world by myself trying to figure out how to become a man, right? I escaped. I ran from New York down to Florida because it was either marriage or breaking up. And I chose to run. I chose to run from New York City. Drove 12 hours, 17 hours, I forgot the exact time. I packed my bags. Right. And during that time, I was very, very lost. I didn't know what to do. So I met a gentleman, and he introduced me to a kickboxing gym. And I'm tossing a lot of money to invest in that. Also, another thing I don't recommend people. It was just like, I like gyms, I like working out. Let me just invest into a kickboxing gym, right? But during that time, because of that gym, I invested in Gym Launch, which was Hermonzi's licensing program. And for those who don't know, he's a giant, he's a very big public figure at this point in the business and entrepreneurial space. As somebody that exited from an agency for like 30-something million, 40
Crazy amount of money.
Crazy amount of money, yeah. So because of that program, I learned something very important, which is marketing, direct response traffic, generating leads, and how to convert cold traffic. Because I already had a sales background from the tech company, I knew I was very good naturally at sales, just being able to speak to people in different vernaculars, because I lived in Jamaica, Queens, funny enough. And I had we were talking to the gentleman before in here, he was like, they're about to interview 50 Cent. I'm like, dude, I'm not a fanboy of anybody, but 50? I need to meet that man at least one time in my life, right? But I knew how to like bring my tones up and down depending on which racial background you are on the phone. So because of that, I learned how to run marketing, sales, and then I met a gentleman, Joe on flight. As I was traveling from New York back to Florida, he tapped my shoulder because I was running advertisement for the gym. I was helping out a couple of gym owners at that time, so I had a very small scale agency at the time too. He was like, hey, I do something similar. I run ads, but for real estate wholesale. I'm like, what? What's real estate wholesaling? During that time, I've been off social media for almost 4 or 5 years, and I was never targeted by any of like the coaches or the real estate. I think that was the boom, right? During COVID, all the way up to 2022, 2023. That was like the boom of real estate coaches and wholesale coaches. I didn't know any of them, so I didn't know what wholesale real estate was. I thought you had to go to a traditional realtor to buy a home, and if you don't, then you're shit out, right? He introduced me to that concept of real estate wholesaling, and during that time, I was at the gym day in, day out. I was the only person selling, and me and the business partner during that time, we just had different philosophies of the business itself, right? His philosophy, he was a professional glory kickboxer, and he's phenomenal at what he does. But our difference in business ethics was different, right? For me, don't get me wrong, like I believe culture is very important, but without revenue, without cash flow, there's no business.
Yeah.
You're running a hobby, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and then if that hurts your feelings, then don't take your hobby and don't make it a business.
Yeah. Right?
Because there's some sacrifice you have to make. I was bringing a lot of Gen Pop fitness, which is, you know, people that were trying to lose weight in a way that's a marketing message, right? Like, do you want to lose weight without feeling like you're judged at, you know, Crunch Fitness or LA Fitness? Why don't you just do something fun and be able to actually lose weight like that? we did well, but we brought in an audience of, they're not fighters, they don't aspire to be, they're general population fitness. He felt like it diluted the business, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It just didn't, like, our visions just didn't match, and that's the second lesson I learned. Number two is just, if you are gonna go into the business with somebody, understand their vision and what they want for the business, right? And especially if it's like 50-50 partnership, you better be aligned. Just like your marriage, right? You better be aligned of what your vision is and how your kids are gonna be raised. And if you want to go to public school, private school, like, your vision better be aligned on day one before the thing happens. But because of Joe and the marketing sales background and the fact that I wanted to be in real estate anyways this whole time, it was just a natural transition.
And when was that?
That was in 2022, 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you made that transition in 2022, 2023. How did you acquire your first customer?
So I always believe in just doing the business yourself first, right? I don't think it's very ethical to provide a service when you don't understand your avatar, especially in the world of marketing. If you don't understand who you're talking to, you're not going to be the guy who understands their, what we call ICP, is the avatar that you're looking to target. So for me, I didn't think about starting an agency. I just wanted to buy real estate. So for me, it's like, I know how to generate leads. Let me just generate leads and let me just talk to people. So I targeted Tampa, I targeted San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, and I did North Carolina. And it's not because I knew what virtual wholesaling was at the time. I was just thinking, hey, where would I want to buy a house if I could acquire it? Obviously, during that time, lack of education, I didn't realize what wholesaling was. Most wholesalers didn't buy any homes. I just wanted to buy a home, but throughout the process, I learned very fast. Oh, so out of the deals that you do, maybe 10 to 20%, depending on what you're looking for, is actually going to be from people, right? That you're going to want to purchase. But most of the time, you don't even purchase the whole, you're purchasing it to flip. So I now was doing deals in San Antonio, I was doing deals in Tampa. At one point, we went all nationwide just to see how cheap we can get the leads. But then I learned how to wholesale very, very fast. I think we did about 250 to 300,000 in net rev on the first year of wholesaling.
Wow, that's good for the first year.
Yeah, but I also didn't realize people didn't know how to generate leads. And I didn't realize how big the lead generation industry in this space was.
Yes.
But during that time, I joined a bunch of different, I connected with a bunch of individuals, right? Not only, I was very heavy into masterminds. Because gym launch at the end of the day, I need to make that money back. I spent 45 grand on gym launch. I put another 80 grand on the gym investment itself, so I was down 125, plus all the other losses from the businesses, the manufacturing business before. And during this time, don't forget that I still thought I was a stock trader. So I was burning like thousands of dollars every single month. My research just kept on dwindling. But that was like the immense pressure you're talking about, right? But like diamonds aren't made without pressure. And during that time, we made money from the wholesale side of things, and a lot of people started asking me, it's like, how are you generating the leads? So I joined Pace Morby's Mastermind because I wanted to buy more real estate, so I got really into like creative financing and subject to. And during that time, that's when I started getting customers for the wholesale business, because I wanted to learn wholesale a little bit more and buying creatively a little bit more, because I didn't have the immense cash flow to be able to purchase everything with cash. So I'm like, okay, creative finance is very interesting. Very low money down, I can take over, assume a rate. It's another exit strategy, so why don't I just learn it? But I got a few clients from there, and then that's how the agency started growing. So the transition was really when I realized, okay, I can either keep digging for the gold myself or sell the shovel that digs the gold for the gold. Like, what's faster? Having hundreds of bird dogs that work with you. And don't get me wrong, I love my clients. I don't want to disrespect them by calling them bird dogs, but being able to have, 100 clients that is all over the nation that's consistently hunting for deals, and knowing that you're the person that's providing them the leads to hunt for the deals, and them telling you, hey, Will, how about this one? Are you interested in this one? while being able to cash flow from the business and interact with really cool people along the way versus distressed sellers. It suited my personality a little bit more. I was very always high energy, and some of the situations I was dealing with on the homeowner side it was just keeping me up at night.
Yeah.
It was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So for the people that are watching this that may not be aware of exactly what you do with REI Transfer, can you enlighten them, please?
For sure. So REI Transfer started off as a lead generation agency. We use Facebook advertisement, Google advertisement, any digital form of advertisement to generate a lead, which is an off-market seller that a wholesaler or an investor, their company can speak to get on contract. But over the last couple of years, due to the increase in competition, not on the lead generation side, yeah, sure, lead generation agency side as well, but I think right now we're decently established in the space as, very good at what we do, especially on the meta ad side. It's just the sheer amount of misinformation from the wholesaler side, right? We have this ongoing joke with a lot of my buddies, like every broccoli-haired 17-year-old right now that want to become a real estate investor picks up the phone and talks to the same sellers as me and you. But the problem is that they don't have the buying power, right? They are trying to lock up a contract. They see homeowners as a lead and as a contract, but not as a customer. And when you have misinformation going through the seller's ears, they typically prolong the decision-making process a lot more, because now it's like, hey, I had company A telling me they will purchase my home within 7 days for $120,000. Then you have broccoli hair company B that's saying $180,000. Who do I go with more? Now human sense and our nature comes out, well, I'm going to be greedy until the last minute. They come back to company A, and company A can't do anything about it, right? So how do we combat that issue of misinformation? Well, as I evolved as a marketer as well, I realized building a brand and instilling trust and getting in front of people earlier is the main thing. And if anybody can take away anything from this podcast, I want to give your audience a gift. I'm not a books person. I was very terrible at school, Jack. But if you're a business owner, I don't care if you are doing wholesale real estate, your beautiful studio, right, podcast business, or an agency, read the book Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schultz. He talks about the 5 awareness levels of a individual when they're looking to make a decision. It goes from unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and then most. Understanding that concept will help you evolve your business, and you will also see the lies that industry and people that sell you lead generation, pay-per-lead, all these things, they're trying to get you. Don't get me wrong. When the economics make sense for things like Google, very low bottom of the funnel, very aware individuals looking for a service, it's very easy to convert. But when the economics stop making sense, when the amount of money that you get to put out to acquire a customer outweighs the return on investment to allow your business to grow, you have to go upper funnel. You have to learn how to target, problem-aware, solution-aware individuals. And in our space, especially real estate investment, it's a game of marketing and sales. I'm pretty sure you've heard that many times before, right?
Yeah.
No one sells you and teaches you how to become a better marketer. Everybody teaches you how to buy a lead, pay per lead, agency this, right? Google PPC, direct mail that, right? 80-20 data, don't get me wrong, I think they're great. But at the end of the day, it's still just leads, very low on the funnel. No one's teaching you how to think like a marketer, right? But anybody, that book, Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertisement, if they care for their business, just read it.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the things that you see that are working the best right now as it relates to meta ads?
I guess before we get into that, I want to explain to you why I use Meta versus all the other channels around. Meta is for individuals that want to retain attention. So the reason why we're leveraging it so much, because most of my clients, they're on TV. They're sending out direct mail. They're using Google Ads, right? Their team might even be cold calling or doing SMS. Not many on the higher level because of litigation issues, but they're generating attention somehow into their business. And every single business that I realize, they have a leaky bucket, right? They have a follow-up pipeline, maybe automations, fancy AI tools nowadays, But the problem still becomes, hey, we're still manually following up with individuals to retain their attention. Maybe you have some email sequences. But the problem is always outbound, right? At one point, when you text somebody 14 times within the last 30 days and you shoot them 15 calls, I call that harassment. Barely following, right? So for me, it's in the idea of how can I create trust over time when somebody comes to my ecosystem, when I already paid for that eyeball, that attention, how can I retain it into my business, right? So with meta advertisement, because I believe last year there was a stat, it was like 74 or 75% of adults above the age of 50 are all using Facebook and Instagram. I think maybe mostly Facebook. Our ICP, which is our avatar that we're targeting, are all on this platform. They're actively going on their phone to send dog memes and cat memes and all these AI fancy Studio Ghibli cool stuff to their grandkids. They're actively deciding to be on the platform. So instead of you soliciting by messaging them, they're actively scrolling and opening on this app. So psychologically, it's very different when consumers opens their phone, sees your content, and we're very specific about the content that we put out there as well, especially regarding like objection handling and just building trust and questions that typically slows down the sales process. So we're very, very intentional with stuff like that. When they see this, if they're going to make a decision within that 45 to 75 day cash conversion cycle, I want the highest likelihood of an individual homeowner to choose my company because they just saw me so many times throughout the journey.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we use Meta.
What is the biggest difference? We'll return to that question I asked you earlier about what are some of the things that you see that are working best in Meta. But what is the biggest difference, would you say, between Meta ads and Google ads?
So Google is great when the economics make sense. If I'm generating a $200 cost per lead, if I need 1 out of 15 leads in order to get a deal done, my cost to acquire a deal is $3,000. If I'm making $15,000 and I get a 5 times return on investment, great, the economics make sense. But when you're spending $500, $800, $1,200 per lead, and you're making that same amount of money, well, how can you scale your business with less than a 4 to 5x return on investment after payroll? As a sole proprietor, as if you were just hustling yourself, sure, you can. If you spend 30 grand this month and you make 90, okay, you can still do something with it. But if you have payroll, you're paying TC, and you're trying to run a legitimate business, it's very hard to scale with anything less, in my opinion, than a 4 to 5x return on investment at this point, right? So I love Google. It's great when you can expand to a wider geographic area, and if you're getting a cost per lead sub, I would say 150 to $100. Sure, it still works really, really well because especially if you have a dialed-in team. And with Joe, he scaled to $7 million this past year with Google PPC. It works, but he's not in a local area. He's wide, right? He targets like 4 or 5 different states, right? It makes sense, and that's the reason. For me, Meta is important right now because most people, number one, use it wrong. They use Meta like it was Google advertisement targeting bottom of the funnel traffic. So very direct in your face, hey, are you a homeowner looking to sell your home in the next 7 days or less? If you don't want to pay any fees, you don't want to do any repairs, come here, we'll buy your home. The problem with that kind of languaging talks to everybody, whether it's a retail seller that is their home is listed on Zillow that wants to sell their home in 7 days with cash, or a distressed home, right? So as you scale, number one, that pool volume is typically smaller than upper funnel, right? Hence, read the book, you understand the concept of what I'm trying to relate to you guys. But if you just target that, you're just going to be competing with every single other investor that's running similar ads. And if you go to the Facebook ads library, search up cash buyer, just look at all the ads that look exactly identical, right? And it morphs together at this point, right? That's why for us, because we're able to target earlier in somebody's journey, for example, maybe an individual that just lost their significant other that was the breadwinner of their house. She or he might have 3 to 4 months of savings left. They're not on any pre-foreclosure list. They haven't been bombarded by 20 other investors, right? They still have a pain. They know that they need to sell the house. Why are we fighting with leftover apples that's fallen under the tree, that's rotting on the floor, and in hopes to pick up one good shiny apple? Why don't we just grab the freaking ladder, Jed, and just go up to the freaking tree and just grab the apple from the tree, right? That's the whole premise of what I do for investors. We want to leverage branding, especially with the stuff that you're producing for a lot of our clients. High quality content that can nurture people into becoming a raving fan of working.
Absolutely. Yeah, that I love that analogy of like, you know, people fighting for the apple and then the tree where you can just grab the ladder together. That's awesome. Now going back to my other question, what do you see is working the best right now as it relates to Meta ads?
Retargeting is huge. It's always worked. People just don't use it. Right? It's always been there. I'm pretty sure you tried to, maybe you were looking, I mean, you're wearing some J's right now. Maybe you go on Nike store, you put it into cart, and then the second you go to the Facebook, when you're scrolling on Facebook and Instagram, you see the same shoe pop on your feet, right? That's been around for how long? Right? Forever. Real estate investors are like 50 years behind everybody else for some reason, because I think the industry is just trying to sell you a bunch of stuff, right? They don't want you to become a better marketer, to just think for yourself and position yourself to win. They want you to just keep buying the services, right?
Yeah.
So retargeting is huge. So retaining attention, right? When somebody touches your website from different other channels that we mentioned before, you want to capture them using the pixel, which is basically like the digital scent dog that these platforms live on. And then you want to just feed them content throughout time and track your metrics. See, on average, you know, how long does it take for somebody to convert after they opt into my phone?
Yeah. I would say I would agree with you with that investors are a little bit behind the time, because one thing I've noticed too is just that a lot of people, like when you go on their website, they just have that form that you can submit, and kind of now they're expecting a call. Like, you know, some people have even listened through the masterminds that I'm part of. Like, you know, they saying like, okay, how quickly do my people call? Like, you know, trying to do all of the other stuff. But like the other types of industries that you and I have known, like that you'll start, like the gym lunch or the Alex or Moses or the infomercial space, what do they have on their front page?
The VSL.
They have a VSL, and also like a bunch of other kind of marketing tactics. Why not real estate investors? Why aren't they using that? Like the VSL is a great opportunity for them when they get to the page. You get to deepen that relationship with that person. Like take that knife and kind of like maybe like what's the word for that? Like poke at their pain a little bit more, and then kind of start building trust with them more. But if you just go and just kind of like go to the page, see just the form, like you look like 50 other people, that like 50 other investors that are kind of doing the exact same thing. Or this is a really great real estate where you can kind of start building that trust with them. Even with the thank you page, like, okay, you submit their information, you go on the following page, you just kind of say, thank you, one of our team members will follow up with you.
Everybody, it looks exactly the same, right? To your point, most lead generation in this space is they see an ad, maybe they click on a keyword, they fill out a form, what happens? They get your phone. That's it. Maybe a fancy text message, maybe nowadays you have the fancy AI automation, maybe a fancy AI call, right? But they don't know your face. They never heard your brand. They know nothing about you, right? And you're at one point just competing on sales, which, don't get me wrong, if this was 3 to 5 years back, where there was less competition in the space and there's less noise, then sure, it would work, because if you're paying $50 per lead on Google, and if there's only 3 people in your local market that's running it, and 1 out of every 4 or 5 leads becomes a deal, you spend $250, you make 10 grand. Wow, this business is freaking phenomenal, my friend. Right? But now it's not the case. It's very expensive, and this is how industries evolve. There's a lack of trust in the space. A lot of infomercial guys, they always say like the trust recession is happening in real estate as we speak, right? You have multiple different pressures, such as young guys that know nothing about the industry, just being able to skip trades and list. They can use Claude Code, go on the county record, scrape the list the second it comes out, put it in a dialer, and then they're hammering it with an AI caller. I promise you, it's gonna get banned somehow.
Yeah.
And then you have the second side with institutional buyers that have 30 years, 40 years of a timeline horizon, where they don't care if they lose money today. So now the real estate wholesalers and the investors traditionally need the people that need to make money today, who's only used to buying leads, so it's very like feast and famine, like kill and eat your prey today kind of mentality. Where yes, it was working back then, but it's slowly not working.
Yeah.
So now these guys are bouncing from marketing channel to marketing channel to marketing channel, trying to figure out something to work today.
Yeah.
But they don't realize they just need to position themselves higher up in their awareness.
Yeah.
Retain attention, gather people when they're in their earlier stages of awareness, and convert them. I always use this idea, Jet, of the Apple Store, right? Like a couple years back when I bought the new MacBook, whatever, and I don't know, right? I walked to the store, I swiped my card, $5,000, boom, done, high ticket sale. There was no Jedi mind trick sales tactic, objection handling, Jeremy Minor, AEPQ that got me to buy that laptop. I walked to the mall willingly. I gave him my card. I picked the color. The lady was like, "Hey, do you want a smaller one or a bigger one?" I'm like, "I like the bigger one." I bought it. It was so easy, and I thought, I was like, why can't we create a business in the real estate investment side where people just walk into our office saying, "Hey, I've been seeing your ad everywhere. You helped me out so much with my family and all the struggles I've been, and I really appreciate the education you provided for me throughout my journey.
Yeah.
Can I sell you my house?" It's happened to Brad. He's ran a lot of TV advertisement, and then one of the sellers recently went to his office in the DMV area. He sent me a text. They've been watching his ads for a while on TV. They always heard his jingle, and then they went on their Instagram and they just seen our ad, and then they just went to office. They didn't even fill out the form.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is awesome. You also touched on something earlier that I think is very important. Is that we definitely are in a trust recession, and I go to so many people's page, and when you land on their page, and you don't see anybody, you don't see any faces.
Yeah.
It's just kind of be like a faceless kind of thing, which I feel like it's a huge mistake that a lot of investors are making out there, and not kind of building that trust with them. One of my favorite projects that we started, I think, was like 4 or 5 years ago, like before COVID. Was to create a long list of videos aimed at kind of building that trust and authority.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those people, when they receive somebody fill that form, they don't know anything about them, they don't know about their process, they don't have like any of the frequently asked questions. So what we did, we had like 150 plus videos that basically like answers all of those questions.
Right.
So by the time a seller would reach out to that investor, they are primed to have that conversation. Instead of like, now you're going to be trying to have all of those processes and like try to do all the Jeremy Minor and the NEPQ, sales tactics. But which is great. I love Jeremy Minor.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I'm not going to take away from, you need good sales.
100%.
I'm very big on sales, but at one point, even the best salespeople cannot fix the structural issue of your industry and your business model.
I mean, all of these things too, like the ads that you say that you're running, or those videos that is nurturing them, makes the salesperson's job way easier.
Correct.
Way easier, because now they don't have to, work as hard to influence, I guess, that person.
I mean, the genius bar people, I don't think they had any type of formal sales training. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But they're selling high ticket, right? The average course on coaching is what, like 5 to 10 grand. That computer I just bought was like hot, right? That wasn't like a Jedi mind trick sales process that I had to go through. I've been indoctrinated to want to be in the ecosystem, right?
100%. What is a good strategy that you're using right now as it relates to the ad sequence? Would you say, what are some of the good strategies that you're using right now to ensure that you indoctrinate those people to want to buy from your investors?
I always tell people front end advertisement gets the click, right? That should be your first filter. Talk to your desired clientele, whether it's somebody that's going through a event, right? Whether it's a foreclosure or an inherited home. The more granular you get with a motivation, the better your quality on the back end can become. You always filter from the front. But don't do cheap filtering like, hey, are you an inherited home? Really focus on the largest total addressable market, but the best clients that you work with. Take this sentence and just put it in ChatGPT, and then you'll get it. Like if I try to divert, go too deep into it, it's gonna take forever. Second step is making sure that you use a landing page. I know a lot of people would generate leads from a lead form. The coach that you just signed up for his course isn't using a lead form. Why are you using a lead form? Lead form is very low resistant traffic, very easy to fill out. You click a couple buttons and it's done. There's no story, there's nothing about your business, and we are falling into the problem of lead generation again. No, we want customers for our business. I don't care for hundreds of leads. I want a qualified individual, because if I have labor and staff, I need to make sure they're spending their time on the highest and best leverage activity. And if they're just filtering from garbage, that's not very good for the back end of the business, right? So we're talking about an individual that has a team that values their time, right? Use a landing page and make sure you're tracking the UTM parameters, the click IDs, which campaign it came from, the IP addresses. The reason why we do that is because with that information, you can leverage it back to Meta's machine. I am not the smartest person in the room. Meta is way smarter than me. They use AI. They just bought something called Manus. Right? At this point, you can just click a couple buttons and run an app. But if you're not feeding the machine the right information, the machine is very good at finding exactly what you tell it to do. So if you optimize for lead events, and you're not conditioning your pixel, which is your digital send dog that uses to target and who to show the ads to, and you're increasing spend. So what most people have is they optimize for lead events, right? As they increase budget, they might have 50% bad and 50% good. As you increase your budget, you're going to get 50% more good and 50% more bad. At one point, you're like, this is a lot of bad. It doesn't make sense. We always want to scale at a 45-degree angle in a sense of, hey, today I have 50-50 good versus bad. But because I'm telling the pixel, hey, this is a qualified lead, this is an appointment set, appointment shown, offer made, contracted, and dollar amount closed. Now the machine has so much more information to give you more leverage, right? So month 2 and 3, you might have 60% good, 40% bad. As you scale, 70, 30, and it will grow and come. That's how you leverage Meta for its highest and best use. And if you can just do those two things correctly, I promise you'll have a better, at least you're not burning money.
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep going and give some more sauce?
Give more sauce, man.
Give more sauce?
Let's
All right.
go.
Yeah. I always say we are a service-based business. If you do not like good experiences, like if we, for example, Jack, have you been to like a resort, maybe with your lady? Mm-hmm. The second you walk out of the van, maybe you get maybe the resort hires a shuttle guy directly with Mr. Jet right here, waiting for you right after you get out of the airport, right? And then you walk to the car, got a little lavender here, and then you give you a little sparkling water, and then the seat reclines, and you're chilling. You get to the resort, the second you come out, they're grabbing your bags, walking in, hand you a glass of mimosa as you check in. That's a service. We enjoy these experiences, But why the hell are we harassing the homeowners with a terrible experience like they're just a number and a lead, right? They're people, they're a customer, they're people that we want to build and retain a relationship with. So if you, think about it, if you walked out from that airport, you had to go call a cab, you can't speak the language, so nobody is out there to help you. You get to a resort, it smells, the towel has a stain on it. You ask the front desk something, it takes them 45 minutes to get here because they're understaffed. Would you go back there ever again? No. Alright, so if it's so simple for us to understand for the things that we want in life, why can't we provide that for other people? Simple. When people fill out a form, have a thank you page. What's the next step? What do you expect? I know you're going to do the due diligence about me because in the end of the day, you're selling one of the largest assets for your home, right? This is one of the biggest assets. People, raise their kids in these homes. They maybe got married. That's their first home. They build a lot of memories. Why don't we tell them, hey, I know you're going to do due diligence about us, but let me help you with that. I'm going to give you all the information that you already work with. Right here. Here's our reviews. These are people that we work with. Here's some information that it might not pertain to your situation, and some might pertain to your situation. You will ignore a lot, but focus on the ones that make the most sense.
100%. And that's the other part that, like, I'm so glad that you touched on that. That's the other part that I feel like it's a missed opportunities for a lot of investors. Like on that page, having all of the frequently asked questions on there, like have all the how the process works, and but also kind of story-wise, kind of tell stories, and kind of now that makes it so much different than like whoever that young, how did you say it?
Rocky hair.
Yeah. Guys,
there's some rocky hair killers out there too.
Yeah. But that makes a world of difference because that starts to build trust with them, and now like they are educated. We use the exact same 3 words, like your goal is to help people know you, like you, and trust you.
Correct.
So by doing all the other stuff that like the lazy other investors are not doing, you could potentially win the deal over them because you provided all of the things that making it easy for them and give them a good service, as you say.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Jed, we're in the renaissance of everything that we do in business, right? With the AI stuff that's coming out, you cannot afford to be lazy and not execute. When the tide is already shifted. There's people are seeing a higher cost of acquisition go up year over year. It's not going to change. It's not going to slow down. So it's either you adjust now and you do the things that you know you're supposed to do anyways. And when people ask me, say, "Oh, what do I do?" Well, it's like, how would you want to be treated if you were the homeowner? Just do that, right? You can leverage AI so much, but not in a sense of pumping out big AI content that looks like a robot. I would say use it for admin work, maybe help you edit a little bit faster, maybe help you write the scripts, maybe help you understand the avatar and what type of service would they want to provide. If, let's just say, if they were to come to my farm, you can speed up your learning curve so much using these tools.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. What is the biggest mistake that you see people make when they're setting up their meta ads?
For sure, not using a landing page, just being cheap with the lead forms. There are some people out there that promotes like OTP verification, which is those text verifications. But the thing is that with our demographic, there's some people that don't even own a phone, right? That might have a landline still. Those are our desired clientele. So if in theory, our goal to increase the lead quality is by using a lead form which is low resistance, and the only way to increase lead quality is by having them verify their phone number, why don't we just add more resistance and bring them to a landing page that causes the quality of the lead to get higher, right? So that's number one. I'd rather do a landing page than use a lead form all day. Even if the cost per lead on day one is a little bit more expensive, and more than likely, I've seen tests, I've ran against competitors in the same areas using a landing page. Our landing page cost per conversion is less than lead forms at times with the OTP verification. So do that, number one. Number two, send the right data back. That's huge. If you are not sending data back, you're basically saying, I hate money, I want to shovel my money in a burning pit of fire, and I'm just going to keep lighting it on fire every single day. That's all it is. Right? That's the two big things.
How important is the right video through that overall meta campaign?
In the sense of front end, like the ad itself,
The ad
the landing
itself.
page, or the thank you page, or afterwards.
I feel like all of them. We can kind of piece it and kind of. Okay, let's step back. And I'm going to ask you this question. So, can you share with me what is the formula or the what's the word? What is the best structure that you see that is performing the best as it relates to meta ads right now, video wise?
Most people suck at making videos. I would say stick to statics. If the goal is to get somebody to opt to your funnel, if you have a very good message on the static, it will still promote a click. And as long as your landing page is written well enough, where there's enough information, you're gonna filter out the back. So it doesn't work so much with lead forms as much, because with lead forms it's low resistance, right? So you have to have more information on the front end on the video in order for it to be even good enough for them to opt into the form. If you use a static with a lead form, you're gonna get really bad leads. But if you're using a static image with a landing page, you can still get a very high quality conversion at a very great cost. Advertorials are huge, long form blogs. On the front end, we like to write very long primary text, because the longer somebody engages with that message, and it pertains to their situation, because obviously if you're reading something about like feminine products that maybe you don't understand, probably gonna skip over it, right? But if it's about my dog, I have a Shih Tzu. But if it's about small dogs, specifically for Shih Tzus and the best diet for them, and it helps them live 15 years longer, I'm reading everything, the whole thing, line by line. And so the more you engage with the ad, or somebody engages with the ad, the more it's going to be fed to that individual as well. So that's the front end what I'll focus on. Typically, most people just don't focus on the videos, because it's very hard to write a good script and you don't really know what you're copying out there, and most people start with copy anyways. It's easier and faster to test with statics with long form copy. Second, on the landing page, have the lead form to be easy to submit, but have them be able to choose to consume more materials if they're not yet bought in to fill out that form. So obviously having the address sticky on the top so they can fill out all times, but typically have a long form trust building assets, whether it's a VSL. So funny enough, Jet, I don't put, a lot of my real estate investors, we don't put the VSL on top, we actually put it below the fold. So that's for people when they want to engage with it more, because they are not yet bought in to submit their information. They want to consume more information. We typically have a VSL, and we have a TSL, which is a text sales letter, typically conveying the same message as with the VSL is. Have a uniform. The ad itself, the copy, the landing page, the VSL and the TSL, it has to be uniform on the messaging. Like, don't try to like talk about inherited properties and now foreclosures at the same time, right? That's why I say don't focus on motivation, wink wink. Focus on overall distress behavior. In a sense, largest TAM, total addressable market, but something that they all go through, right? That they're all afraid of, that they're all trying to avoid, right? And then if you can get that, typically, I'm not going to give out the end goal, unfortunately, Jet, just because my clients are using it currently and I don't want to dilute it. But that's how you find the best angle for people in my opinion. After they consume, they can fill out the form, and then on the thank you page is really where it becomes very interesting. We do objection handling videos right away on the thank you page, typically 7 to 10 videos depending on the business. One of the easiest way to go through it, leveraging AI again, transcribe. Most companies have their calls transcribed anyways. Just every single week, every single month, compile it, put it in a GPT, Claude, wherever you guys use, Gemini, and then have it bring up all the most frequently asked questions and the objections that stops the sale from happening or delays the sales process. Create videos on those, right? The ones that happen the most, just create videos on those first until the least. And then have something called, there's a platform called Microsoft Clarity. I don't know if you use it or not. It's basically a tracking. You can see like how far people scroll down the screen. See how many videos people watch. right? Track the videos, how many people click on it, and then take out all the noise and just leave the good. Those are the biggest things. I always have the sales reps, like my internal team, so we do a little wholesaling right now on test data. Every single month, we always pump out new ads with our own dollars first before we push out to clients' accounts. So ethically, I think that's the best thing to do. And then our sales reps always record videos like, hey, this is Will from ABC Home Buyers. Just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves. We're legitimate people. This is our office. We're not some AI. I promise you will. Right? And that really helps conversions as well.
Yeah, this is really good. For like when you're launching ads for the front end, like how many ads do you typically launch? Like what are some of the, like if you're using static and you're using videos, like what are some of the variety that you have at the front end?
For sure, it really depends on your budget. So let's just say if you're working with like 100, 200 bucks a day, we'll launch at maximum 5 to 15 ads on the front end and make sure of statics and videos. Typically, we would do research on the ethnic background of your location, how they speak, right? Atlanta, Georgia is going to be wildly different than Tampa, right? How they dress, type of homes in the background. That I will leverage AI for. Just because most of the time you just have to retain their attention and get them to click, and they're never going to really like focus on it again. The selling happens after they fill out the form, right? That's when the trust is really built. The reason why we don't go with the whole Andromeda, like put 100 ads out, dude, if you have $100 a day to spend and you have 100 ads, you're never gonna get enough statistic evidence on the spend to make an educated decision on any, right? With guys like with Andromeda, and this is probably a question for like people that watch a lot of Andromeda videos, like, hey, you have to put 100 creatives in one go. If you do that, you will see your spend go up, $200, $300, $400, $500. And you might not even get a lead because the spend is spread across. If you have good creatives, right, the machine is going to try to spend out everything that's the most probable to get you a result. So if you have 100 different good creatives, and your average cost per lead is, let's just say, $50, and if all the 100 creatives are good, and every creative gets $1 every day, it would take you 25 days to get one lead. Think about it. But obviously, if all the spend goes to one ad, that means that one ad is outperforming everybody else. Then you're just being lazy. You're just pumping out shitty ads. That's fine. Pumping out bad ads, right? So it's not about creating volume. It's about quality of content.
What do you think about the long-term strategy of video production for real estate investors? Like being able to post like on a daily basis, or like having a cadence to do it. Like, what do you think about that? And would that be a good tool to build trust with clients?
You need to exist when people search you up. Like the best sellers are gonna search you up, and if you don't exist, just like how if you were to go to a restaurant and you search it up, and they don't have a Google Maps and you can't even get to the location, you're not gonna go. They don't exist, right? So this goes back to a lot of us, we run businesses and we think it's this crazy concept that we don't understand, but realistically just treat others like how you want to be treated. What goes around comes around, right? A lot of the answers to your biggest burning desires and questions that's going to solve your business is all revolving around common sense. And I know that hurts a lot of those feelings, but that's the truth, right? And yes, content is important. The reason why we use a VSL and a text sales letter means that people like to consume different things. Some people like to read. I suck at reading. I'm a video person. I'm a watch a YouTube video on 5x speed type of person, right? So it all depends on who you're consuming. So yes, you need short form content. You should do some long form content that cuts into shorts. Maybe do some organic style content that you walk around. The sport podcast style, like an interview type of question, podcasts, right? Having a mixture of different type of consumables will only give you more leverage for your business. And if you're at that point of scale, you should definitely do it.
Awesome. Do you have what? Obviously, there's so many different ways that you can write a DSL. What is the structure that you use for the DSLs?
Dude, just hustle. Just copy Russell. and such as Russell Brunson, any large, I would say, fitness influence. So always copy adjacent industries. Don't copy your own industry. That's the, man, my secret's away, my brother.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's exactly my thoughts behind all of that too. Because the things that you learn from another industry obviously might be different than what everybody else in
Yeah.
your industry is doing. Obviously, but to my point earlier, like all the coaches or big organizations, what are they doing? They have a beautiful landing page, they have a VSL on there, and they kind of do all the other stuff. Why can't real estate investors do the same thing?
Yeah.
Those guys are making so much money kind of, using those tactics. Like my 3 favorite books are the trilogy by Russell Brunson, like
Yeah.
the Expert Secrets
Yeah.
trilogy. And it kind of goes deep into all of those kind of secrets.
Yeah.
But like, why is real estate investors still like 50 years back and not using some of the same tactics that those people are using?
The problem with real estate investors is that the industry itself sells them on a bunch of BS. And then the thing is that we're in such an active, like, need what you kill kind of mentality, because it's direct response traffic, right? Lead generation, you close them, and it's done. It's a very transactional type of business where we don't have to worry about client retention and how people feel afterwards, right? A lot of different other industries, you have to worry about a lot of like the back end operations, the fulfillment, the retaining clients. There's a lot of complexity to it, and complexity leads to earlier revolution, in my opinion, right? But with real estate investors right now, things has always worked where it's a very high paid industry compared to your cost to acquire. But now it went from averaging 20x return on investment to 10. Now 7, 8, 5, 3, 2, negative. Now people are like thinking, well, I need to do something different, right? The guys that have really done well are guys like Brad, a lot of these guys are on TV, where without even realizing it, they've been building trust, top funnel. Billboards, radio, TV, that's upper funnel, unaware individuals that you talk to every single day. Bring them to the ecosystem, and it's a volume and time.
Absolutely. And by doing that too, it's important to, like when you're building trust, like, and you're doing all the other stuff, like when the people are seeing your ads, maybe they're not in the right mindset right now to buy.
Yep.
But by seeing a bunch of your content over time, like whenever they're ready now, they are going to be picking you versus your competitors. So do you run any value ads at the front end first before you do any of the motivated kind of targeting?
In a sense, like lead magnets and
Yeah, it might be just kind of like in education. I know most of the other industries that are not in real estate, they would kind of have like several layers of kind of ads. Like the first layer is this really to educate people, like providing tons of value, educating them, and then second layer might be like philosophy. Again, for real estate investors, they don't need to go that deep, but philosophy or like day in the life ads and types of deal. But the first one is just to kind of warming up the audience. It's not like conversion focused at all. It's just the awareness campaign.
I wouldn't do awareness campaigns right away because, like, for example, follow me campaigns. I'm not a huge fan of follow me's because it's lower intent traffic, and for me, we still need to drive revenue today. Most people, like, I always want, like, at one point, maybe, Jack, like, I will take back what I'm saying right now and run more awareness in the future. I think the industry right now, we're still at the place where we can still do lead generation campaigns, but we just have to spice it up a little bit more to get a better return on investment.
I think it can be a hand-in-hand thing, though. Like, depending on how much budget that they have.
Correct.
I think like to build the know, like, and trust, there needs to kind of be that things where they don't feel like you're selling to them, right? You're providing tons of value, you're educating them. Maybe that's a really low budget, but like the higher budget is like the people that are like the higher intent people.
Yeah.
So it might be like, I don't know, 10% of the budget at the front end that is like educating people, and whoever watched 15 seconds of those videos, now they can get to the bigger pot where there's like retargeting ads that is those higher intent ads. So that way, like for those people that like, okay, you can see there is motivation there because they are watching these videos, that they are interested in the topic that you are trying to share with them. And if they watch like 50% of that video and you obviously had a lower budget on that, and those people that watch the second version of that will kind of be, they have a higher intent and they're going to be willing to, like, I guess, like, go further in the sales process with you as well.
You're talking about some like high level like stuff right here. Yeah, no, for sure. Like if you want to structure it in a way where you want to force consumption and then just kind of like go really top funnel and then use the view count as a filtering mechanism, I think it's a great strategy. It just takes a lot of more work to build out.
And again, you can kind of run both of them at the same time too. Like you can do, but I think like for if you don't have like a long-term organic strategy, I think that is a really good way. If you wanted to go faster and getting more deals instead of like taking a long-term like organic strategy by posting a bunch of those valuable content, or even don't even do that. It's just you run the ads, and then those people that now got curious, they go to your Facebook. Now they can see all the other value content that you posted. As you're saying, like when they kind of search you, now they find those types of content. One of the biggest, the coolest thing that I've ever heard. I have a client that is in Miami. He's like probably one of the largest investors in Miami, and we did that 60 video package with him. And he posted those as a library somewhere. I don't know if it was on the website or on YouTube. And there was a lady that was looking to sell 25 plus houses. That person decided to call him because of the library of video, because he was able to educate her, and being able to see all of those videos, because now that's different from any other people. Because now there's like that knowing, because he was on all the video, that person now liked them and trust them because of all the information that they provided to them at the front.
I agree. In the end of the day, forced consumption is the game. Like, how can you get an individual to watch and to have your business as much as possible? They say, it's like 7 hours of minimum consumption to get somebody to know you, like you, trust you, to do business with you. And you can either do that with brute force sales process, or you can mix it in with some content, or people have been using this word like omni-channel presence a lot, right? But the reason why people say omni-channel is just how can we increase that timeline duration of consumption within as many different channels as well, right? YouTube for an hour, and then Instagram for another 30-40 minutes. You get on the phone with them for an hour and a half. Well, that's already 3-4 hours.
Yeah. So the formula, what you're describing, is 4-7-11. So 4 different channels that you are interacting with those people, consuming 7 hours of your content, and having 11 different touch points with them. So that's when you're doing all of that, that builds the trust with them with all the content, and that's why it's so important to do long form content and also a lot of short form, because you have to watch a lot of content to reach 7 hours with short form.
I think the average duration. I mean, like most people skip at the first 3 seconds, right? So that's a lot of.
That's a lot of, guys. Lots of content. That's why you need to get on it. So, man, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. We've already kind of went 30 minutes over, but it's been awesome. So, ask you a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. One of the very first questions I always ask people is, if you had to share $1 million advice to anybody watching this, what would that be? Again, it doesn't have to be how to make $1 million, but like the biggest advice that you would give them around ads or Meta, like what is your $1 million advice for anybody watching this?
Dude, it's gonna be at the ads, at everything else. It's just live life appreciative, be happy, and just treat people like how you want to be treated. I promise you that will help you with your business, your life, all your goals. Like just live a happy smile and just be a happy person. Yeah.
So the second question I'm going to ask you is, if you had to go back to day one when you first started your entrepreneur journey, what advice would you have given to your younger self?
I would say, hey, good luck. You're gonna have a very, very fun journey, but I promise you, you're gonna enjoy every freaking second.
Love it. And lastly, do you have any special gifts or anything like that that you can share with anybody watching that? Maybe it's a PDF that you have that could share the light on some people as it relates to Meta ads, or any other things that you have that would add value.
Yeah, I will.
Or maybe even it's just like a consultation too. Like maybe schedule a really quick call with you to consult if you don't have any PDF or anything like that.
For anybody that reach out from Jeff's channel, I will do a free consultation. And I promise you, it would be a pure consultation until the point of like I can't do it on my calendar for the next year. Until 2027.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
that's fair. Let's
Okay.
go.
Until 2027.
All right, cool. Let's go. Man, such a pleasure having you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and some of your secrets over here. Such a pleasure having you, man.
Dude, Jet, appreciate you for being just such an honestly good friend. We just met recently, but the love, the energy, the affection that you provide me already, I can't ask for more. So
Let's
thank
go,
you.
man. Let's go. There you have it. For anybody to like share your social media handles, like where can people follow you? Where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so for my personal Instagram, it's Will WILL.YUS. My last name YU, but YU was taken already. And then they can also follow me if they're an investor looking to just understand my philosophy of marketing and get to know a little bit more about me and what I do on a day-to-day basis. Official William Yu is the YouTube channel as well.
Perfect. There you have it. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope that you learn a thing or two about marketing and Meta ads today. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
So fire.